I'm Shay Russell from mining.com.au, and joining me today is Ivan Fairhall, the Managing Director for Pivotal Metals. Ivan, it's great to have you back on again. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Shay. Thanks for having me on.
You would be fantastic with an announcement like this. Mate, I'm looking at this announcement and it says enlarged resource. What does that mean?
Well, you're right, Shay. Very significant announce here, and we've had major growth in the Horden Lake Project here. We've now got 235,000 tonnes of copper, and including byproducts, that means over 400,000 tonnes of copper equivalent in an updated resource. And most importantly, it's got a very large open pit component, and that grades really quite nicely, 340,000 tonnes at 1.1%. So to calibrate that, that's about 1.1 million ounces at 1.2 grams a tonne gold. So gold topical, and just trying to put this project into perspective. And it means we've got one of the leading high-grade shallow copper deposits on the ASX, and that creates a clear pathway for a long life and meaningful production of copper. And that's a fantastic platform to leverage the huge exploration potential that remains on the property.
It certainly is, but there's sort of a phrase I wouldn't mind delving into if you've got the time, and that is pit constrained. You've used that a couple of times throughout this announcement. What does that mean for the average retail investor?
Well, it's an important point. It's no secret that open pits are lower capex, lower opex, and materially lower risk projects to put in production. So they're really what you want to find, particularly as something to start off from. And they're also much more scalable. Because you can easily, accommodate more trucks on the surface. So you've got to be a little careful when you're reading resource statements. Many resources are what they call unconstrained. And so there's little real thought put towards the economic extraction, and the lines between open pit and underground become really blurred. So what we did was we declared a pit constrained resource where we use realistic commodity prices and importantly recoveries from our recent metallurgical test work. And that sort of drives an economic pit shell, and that's what we talk about, pit constrained resources. We have a view that these actually can be mined in a pit, and here's what it looks like. And so what we found is that Horden Lake, at least for the bits we've found so far, that's about 85% of our deposit falls into a pit. And that's got a pit, it's sort of 250 metres deep, and we're talking it's a long pit, so 2.2 kilometres long. And I thought it'd be worth putting that in perspective. That's further than all the way along Collins Street from Treasury to Southern Cross Station. In Sydney, you can walk from Circular Quay to just short of Central Station. And if you're from Perth, we're talking the full length of St George's Terrace and half of Adelaide Terrace. So this is a big project and it benefits from a big, shallow, open pit. And it's a serious deposit. And it just emphasises my point that there are very few projects that have the grades and scale close to surface on the ASX.
Thank you very much for that visual. That does just help myself listening and other people listening understand how big this thing really is. But I'm just going to pick up on something you said in your answer there. And you said, from the bits we've found so far, Ivan, does that mean there's actually more exploration on the way?
100%. Like, we know that Horden Lake is going to grow. We've done extensive geophysics surveys. We have open drilling, and then we layered on top of that extensive geophysics, and that's thrown up multiple targets outside of where's ever seen a drill hole. We've already drilled the first target, so a month or two ago we drilled. We've got assays pending. So this was a shallow target along strike. It's got the potential to extend the deposit another sort of 20%. Those assays are pending, and if we're successful, that's upside to what we've shown here in this resource update. So everything we've seen tells us there's more to find.
Listen, Ivan, Horden Lake continues to go from strength to strength. And I say that every video because this is what these updates keep proving. Listen, thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to speak with you next time.
Thanks for having me on, Shay.